Thanks, Dennis. And, I want to really thank you for all the leadership that you show, for the friendship that you show. We really have developed not just a friendship, but a real bond. I mean, I really consider Dennis my brother in all senses of the word. This is a great, great union. And I can't tell you how happy I am to be here and how proud I am to be here, because I feel like my ribs are your ribs and your ribs are my ribs. I mean, our unions have always been knitted together. And I've always admired the work of this union, because this union, I think more than any other, even my own, quite frankly, has been the most progressive union out there. You've spearheaded everything. When it came to the fight for civil rights, this union wasn't in the back of the parade. This union was at the tip of the spear. When it came to developing new benefits, creative things for the workers, to protect us, to make them better, to make the job safer, this union was never at the back of the pack. This union was always at the cutting edge, developing stuff that other unions then tried to emulate and negotiate into their contracts. And I'll tell you, you have a right to be extremely proud to call yourselves auto workers and say, this is my union, it's the best union without that. And a couple of years ago, we got tired. I mean, tired of every time it was the same old, would go through an election, would work our tails off to get somebody elected. After they got elected, we'd be in a room like this partying, and there'd be people that tried to get the person we got elected unelected in the room next to us, and they're plotting and scheming, and before you know it, they've co-opted the people that we got elected. Seemed like they get amnesia after they sit in some of those elected chairs. And we said things are going to be different. That we're not the captive of any party. And we're not the captive of any candidate. We're going to let our agenda drive our politics, not our politics drive our agenda. Right? And think about this now. A couple of years ago, we said, we came together, and Dennis was there, Cindy was there, a number of your board members we talked with, said, look, we have to get in front of this and create an agenda that is our agenda, and then make everybody come to it. So we had a raising wages agenda. And we said, look, the most important thing in this country is to raise wages. And that's not just money. That's all the things that go into creating an economy that works for us and not for somebody else. It means changing the tax code. It means changing trade laws. It means changing labor laws, immigration laws, mass incarceration that destroys the lives of people and then prevents those same people after they've paid everything they owe, and quite frankly, more than they ever owed, from coming back into society. So we put that out and we said, this is what we're going to do. Flash forward 2 years, here we are at a convention, and this platform, the platform that the Democrats adopted this time around, is the most progressive platform they've seen since the days of FDR, and you did that. You did that. Nobody gave it to us. Nobody gave it to us. We earned it. We did it. And you got the guy on the other side, crazy Donnie Trump, saw the power of our agenda and our narrative. And what's he trying to do? He tries to co-opt it. He tries to talk. I don't know if you saw my speech the other day. He tries to talk like a tough guy, but he's a fraud. He's a fraud. I almost got back into minor vernacular there for a second. I caught myself. I'm getting better at this, I'll tell you. So, Dennis is absolutely right. After this is over, after the convention's over, the real work starts. But after the election is over, the real work continues. Because we can't quit the day after the election, no matter who we elect. And I'm convinced we're going to elect Hillary Clinton the first woman president of the United States. But they aren't going to quit. They're going to try to co-opt her every single way that they can. And unless we stay organized and stay focused and stay demanding on our agenda, they'll co-opt us. And we're not going to let that happen again this time. You know, look at how far we've come on the trade issue. You got blind free traders that say any trade agreement's good. Don't show me the details. I don't care. I don't care who it screws. I don't care how many workers lose their jobs. Let me have it. That's what we're dealing with. And we said, it's not the issue about whether trade is good or bad, because how many times have they tried to make us look like Neanderthals, right? Oh, they're just against trade. Well, we're against bad trade deals, not against trade itself. The rules matter. But here's what they've tried to do to us for years. They've tried to convince us that the economy is like the weather. There's nothing you can do about it. It's raining outside, you can either go back inside or put up an umbrella, but you can't stop the rain. Well, the economy's not like the weather. The economy's nothing but a set of rules. Those rules are made by the men and women that we elect, and those rules decide the winners and the losers. And guess what? I don't have to tell you this. For the last 30 or 40 years, those rules have been designed for us to lose and them to win. And now we have a chance. We have a chance at this very election to change the rules of that economy. Because we want to make sure that Hillary Clinton isn't running to manage the economy. She's running to change the economy for each and every one of us so that we get a chance, right? So you need to get out and we need to talk and give the facts. And Dennis is right. I mean, if you sit back and let people say, oh, Donald Trump's wonderful, and forget what he said, particularly this union. You remember when he said, I'd let the auto industry go bankrupt? You remember him saying that? We got to remind our members of that. And then here's what he said, and this is the part that, you know, I used to box a little bit, and I'll tell you, if I'd had him in a ring, when he said this, he'd have been in trouble. He said, if I owned an auto company, I'd shut it down. I'd move all the jobs to Mexico, and when those workers in Michigan got hungry enough that they would accept anything, then I'd move the jobs back. He said, that's the American model. Well, I want to tell you something. That might have been the American model in 1890 or 2000, but we're done with that model. We're not going back to it. We want real wages, and we want this country to move forward. Wow. And I want to do a survey, Dennis, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Donald Trump said our wages are too high. Everybody who thinks your wages are too high, raise your hand. I thought that cameraman was about to.
Here's the thing, they just got a raise too, a lot of them.
Well, you just got a raise? You deserve more, honestly. I know that. Not a single person put their hand up. Now, how many think Donald Trump's wages are too high? There it goes. Now we have a survey to report back to the membership. Guys, you know? Seriously, though, he thinks our wages are too high, and he said that repeatedly. He thinks that states ought to have the right to lower the minimum wage. Lower the minimum wage. Can you imagine that? If you work for minimum wage in this country right now, you're a family of four, you work 2,000 hours a year, you still live in poverty. The minimum wage should lift people out of poverty, not trap them in poverty. And we're going to make sure that we get a living wage, because when the floor goes up, wages for skilled workers and everybody else goes up at the same time. That's our goal. You know, as I said, after the election, we got a lot of work to do. I don't know if you saw it last night, Dennis, but Terry McAuliffe shot his mouth off last night. And
it's all over the news.
I got all over him because of that. You know, he pretends to be an insider. Friend of Clinton's, and I vacation with him. I do all that stuff. I've talked to her, not once, not twice, dozens of times about TPP, and told her how serious we were. That any treaty that covers 40% of the world's economy better be right. Because if it isn't right, it will cost us dearly in a way that we'll never be able to recover from. We're still trying to recover from NAFTA, and this is NAFTA on steroids. And then, when they can't beat you on the agreement because it's so terrible, because it doesn't have currency manipulation in it, anything to deal with that, anything for workers' rights or environmental rights, or any of the things that we care about, when they can't beat you on that because it's not there. All this is important geopolitically. We have to have this to control China. Now, I gotta tell you, that's the stupidest argument I've ever heard. If they believe it, I have oceanfront property in southwestern Pennsylvania that I will sell them cheap. This gives China all the benefits of that agreement and not one of the responsibilities of that agreement, not one. They're going to be able to come through those other countries because of the rules of origin are significantly less than they were in NAFTA, and NAFTA's rules of origin didn't work for us. They will swamp us. Jobs will be lost, manufacturing facilities will close at a greater rate, and our country will continue the process of deindustrialization. Well, you can't be a world power if you don't make things. And I can tell you something. When Terry said that last night, I immediately went over to looked for him in the Virginia delegation. And he wasn't there. It's probably a good thing. Because I was hot.
Yeah.
Not only is it wrong, flat ass wrong, because I know where she is on TPP. She is against it now, and she will be against it after the election as well, I promise you that. It also undercut her credibility.
Yeah, it does.
That's going to be the key issue in this election. Do you believe her or don't believe her? They try to say she lies about everything, she's not credible. Well, I got to tell you, that's not the Hillary Clinton that I've known. Because I've known her for 35 years. And anytime she told me she was going to do something, she did it. Anytime. Without exception. And him who professes to be a friend, a supporter, an ally, says something that's stupid. Now, we got all over it. I called the campaign and they immediately issued a statement saying he's wrong. She's against it now, she'll be against it later. But it feeds into her greatest Achilles heel, and it's up to us to stop that. It's up to us to be convinced, concerned, positive, and aggressive in this campaign, and not let people say, well, we don't do this, they don't trust that. We got a platform. We got a candidate who's going to change America and change the rules, not manage this country the way it's been, and we're going to go forward. And we're going to do that because we're going to keep our solidarity and not let anybody break us apart. Your picket line is my picket line. My picket line is your picket line. When I see a worker fighting, I don't care what they're fighting for. I don't ask questions. I join in and lock arms and say, brothers and sisters, what can I do to help you get a better life? We're going forward. We're going to rewrite the rules of the economy, and we're going to get our fair share because we've earned it. God bless you.